Grabando.
Oh, hey there. Welcome to my channel. I've been living in Medellin for the last 4.5 months. I really freaking love this city, but I feel like I have a unique perspective because I didn't come with a lot of money. Came here to start a new life and really get immersed into the culture. I don't live that typical, I guess, expat life, but being here for these 4 months have really made me appreciate and learn a lot about the culture from locals. So I'm really thankful for that. What else do I have to say? This is obviously one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been in. I mean, just look at this fucking view, dude. Pan over to you. This is crazy. But yeah, I've been blessed to meet some really cool people, like my friend Lexi who's filming right now. But let me tell you about some of the things that I love so much about the city. Come on, let's go.
So let's talk about the culture. Number one, there's this huge fitness culture here in Medellin. It's the fitness capital of Colombia, and I've heard that it's the fitness capital of Latin America, but you need to fact check me on that because that's what a Colombian told me. It's cool because everybody of all ages are working out. So you got old guys and kids that are out there running or playing on their bike or playing sports or playing soccer. Because everybody else is doing it, it really motivates me to want to go out and run too because there's just energy about the city, you know? All my roommates are super fit, like this guy right here, Andres. He works out every day, it's crazy. But my old roommates at my other house, they were all pretty fit as well. They have these public programs for fitness here. I live in a stadio, which is next to the stadium. It's cool because they have a skate park there, they have basketball courts, they have tracks, they have a pool, and all of these are free to the public to use, which I think is really awesome. The city itself is also like set up to work out because even if you go to any park, random park, they'll usually have some monkey bars or even sometimes they'll have some weights there too. This one park has these weights with rocks, which is really cool because I've never seen that before. Now that gyms aren't open, that's like the closest thing I have to weights. Number two, let's talk about the food. This one is debatable because I've heard people talk about it from both sides, but for me personally, I'm not too much of a foodie. To be honest, eating is kind of sometimes of a chore for me. I like Colombian food. Food, while not super diverse, is a lot cleaner than in the States, and in general, it's just a lot cheaper. I'm a fan of menu ejectivo, which is like the menu of the day, and you usually get a soup, rice, meat, salad, sometimes beans for like $3. The meat is cheaper and cleaner here as well. You can get a steak, like a nice looking steak like this for like $2, and the meat tastes way different because it's just not as processed as it is in the States. If I order something off of Rappi, which is like Uber Eats, it costs like regular $7 or $8, and that's including delivery, which is only usually like $1. I like how the meals here, like they're good, they get the job done. For me, I like it, but I can see why people will get turned off by it. Asian food here is an absolute joke. There's a couple of good Korean restaurants, which I enjoy. They're a little expensive for Colombian standards, but I think they're really good. But I have not had one good Chinese meal here, and I'm pretty sad about that. I try to cook it myself sometimes, but there's only so much I can do personally. Like sometimes you just want to eat at a Chinese restaurant, you know? Another complaint that I've heard a lot is that Colombian food doesn't have a lot of flavor. And I can get that, but like I said, I like plain food. I like eating healthy, so for me, it's okay. What they sacrifice in spice, they make up for in sweets. They just do sweets here really well, you know, whether it be the fruits, smoothies, the kinds of bread, the different desserts. Man, the dessert here is so freaking good. If you have a sweet tooth, you're definitely gonna find something here. However, things do tend to be on the oversweet side, but personally, I like it. Lastly, on the topic of food, there's street vendors everywhere. And for me, I personally like buying from the street vendors, whether it be food, or produce, fruits, vegetables, that kind of thing. It's sometimes cheaper, sometimes more expensive than buying it at like the Éxito, which is the big supermarket. But for me personally, I like supporting the local community, so that's what I'll tend to do. I'll buy from people on the street. And the last thing I want to talk about in the culture is that it's very progressive, but also religious at the same time. It's really interesting because most people here are God-fearing, but the culture is very sexual as well, and I think it's in the music and the way they dance and how warm they are to each other. The way some of the girls dress here is very liberal as well. They be wearing like straight up bras sometimes, walking around, and obviously people are staring, but like it's like regular here. which, you know, I'm all for. I think it's great. PDA is super common here, and you see couples of all age differences. It's very common to see like a much older man, maybe 30, 40 years older than a 20-year-old woman. I've also seen relationships the other way, where it's like a younger guy with an older girl. There's also a really big gay scene out there, so I think that's super awesome. Shout out to my gay friends out there. They're very accepting of it. One of my roommates is gay, and it's just like a normal thing, you know? People don't make a big deal out of it. Something that's awesome as well is that when it comes to dating, height does not matter. It's so refreshing coming from the States because, especially in LA, if you're not 6 feet, for some reason, it's a lot harder to date, you know? Like, even though we can't control it, which separate issue. Looks are so important in LA, but here, from what I've heard from my students and my Colombian friends, they actually say that the most attractive traits are intelligence, kindness, and confidence. Actually, the number one trait that I heard from all of the people that I asked was intelligence. Like, intelligence is very important here. Yeah, so take from that what you will.
So while we're climbing, my friend Lexi over here can tell us about the weather.
Oh, well, funny that you asked. Girl, I love the weather here. I can do anything I want because it's always sunny and I don't have to wear a jacket anywhere. I don't have to worry about a lot of things, so I'm more comfortable.
What do you think of the rain?
Oh man, I hate the rain.
You hate the rain?
I hate the rain.
I love the rain.
When it downpours, I need to be inside. I'm like the Wicked Witch. I'm out.
Biking! Please be one more guy. You're ready recording. Ay, qué loco.
All right, let's talk about the Paisa people. Community and family values are super important here, and it's very refreshing because I'm not used to that at all. I've never really been in a community that is so friendly like this before, to be completely honest, and I personally really love it. People say that the Paisa people are the friendliest people in Colombia, and from my experience, I would definitely say that's true. When I was in Bogota, people weren't as friendly. My Spanish wasn't as good back then, so I wouldn't have known too much, but here, I'm constantly waving at people. Some people are rude, but it's a very small minority, so I don't think it's worth mentioning. Yesterday, I was at the park working out, and I was talking to some of the locals, and I was telling my story of how I got attacked, and one of the guys that was there, he was a local, he said, hey, next time that happens, let us know because there's no room for that here. And that just made me feel really good because, you know, this last week was rough. I didn't really make any videos because, you know, I was trying to recover from what happened and trying to get my head straight. But the fact that this guy told me that was really kind of him and made me feel welcome again, you know, because after that event happened, I couldn't leave my house for like 3 days because I was so scared, and that was a cool thing. So when I was looking for apartments, I was just asking around, and that's how I met Andres. So I met him, and then in a week I moved in. We went over the rules, and it's interesting because we don't keep our doors locked. It was weird for me at first, but there was just like this mutual trust between everybody that is really hard to explain because I've always been taught, you know, don't talk to strangers, keep your doors closed, but here we don't have locks and I don't feel uncomfortable leaving my stuff out, which is awesome because when you're not thinking about that, you just don't have to worry about it, you know? Obviously, I don't look like I'm from here, so instead of just trying to blend in, I've just come to embrace it. You know, I kind of wear what I want, what style that I want, but I don't have anything expensive because that's just asking for trouble. And I don't really get treated like the typical white or European gringo. I think it's because of my age. I dress pretty conservatively, just like a t-shirt and pants, you know? I think the most important thing is that I speak the language. When people first see me, obviously they're just curious, you know, and they stare at me a lot, but you know, that's just expected because they're more curious than racist. But once they hear me speak Spanish, their whole entire mood changes and they get super excited, and then they start asking me questions, where I'm from, they ask me about my culture. I think that if you want to come to a Latin American country, definitely know a little bit of Spanish. You're gonna learn if you put yourself into it, because I've only been learning for like 4.5 months, 5 months, but I can have full conversations now. The people here, just in general, like even the women, when you approach them or you talk to them and you speak Spanish, they're just a lot more warm and welcoming to you because they don't think you're just another tourist, you know? It's actually a very foreigner-friendly city here. There's a lot of places you can go where people do speak English, and there's a lot of people here that want to learn English as well. But in my opinion, I think you should learn Spanish because you just get to experience life a little more that way. It's a lot more fun. You just have a lot more doors open up to you when you speak Spanish too. For my Asian homeboys out there, there's actually like a huge market for Asian guys here, which is crazy because I've been doing some research on YouTube and there's a F ton of popular YouTubers, I'm talking like 4 or 5 million followers, they all have like Asian boyfriends, like Korean, or like one of them has a Thai boyfriend. And I think it's so interesting because like you never really think about it, but I've been reading the comments and just doing some cyber stalking, and bro, they like Latin girls really like the look of Asian guys, and they like almost like the K-pop beauty standard, which is so interesting and fascinating to me. Like that's not me, but I shave a lot more now because I've gotten more compliments without my facial hair than with my facial hair. Whereas when I was in the States, I needed the facial hair in order to look like older, or else I just looked like a baby. But people like this here better, apparently, so you know, I'm just gonna keep it this way. And lastly, let's talk a little bit about racism. People here aren't super racist. Well, it's different now because during the coronavirus, there's a lot of anger and hate towards Asians, which I can kind of understand. No, I do understand it. I don't think it's right, but I can understand it. But in general, people aren't really racist here because the name of the game is classism, right? And classism doesn't really have color. So to me personally, I don't think people are racist to me, you know, other than the coronavirus jokes, which is a very small minority. Talking to black guys that I know here, they also say the same thing, that they're treated differently here because Colombia has a lot of black people that are Colombian. From what I heard, they just treat black people a lot better than they do in the States. I mean, I wouldn't know, but that's just what I heard. Talk about the women. Yeah, the women are fucking hot. That's just the truth. So Colombian women have this way that they walk. They have this like swagger and confidence about them. If you've been here to Medellin, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They just have this way that they walk that is so fucking like, oh god, that's attractive. Their bodies are just out of this world. They're just made differently here, man. So you have your slim girls, you got your thick girls, you got everything in between. And you got all different colors too, and they're all beautiful. If you go to a crowded place, you just sit down and people watch. Literally every 10 seconds, you're gonna turn your head and fall in love with somebody. Trust me, I've counted before. Bro, even the older women are hot. Like, I may just be going through an older women phase right now. Some of these 40-year-olds, they can fucking get it, bro. I'll definitely make a video about that when that happens. Also, sometimes it feels like they're in competition to see who can wear the least amount of clothing. Like, it's very common for women to walk around in just crop tops, show their stomach. It's so normal. It seems like the less clothing, the better, and that's just how the women are here, and it's great. I personally haven't officially dated one yet, but I'll let y'all know when that happens. It's gonna happen. I wanna talk about the Spanish. Colombian Spanish has a reputation for being really beautiful. I like the Spanish from Bogota. I think it's really nice to understand, but the Paisa accent is really nice too. It has this like sing-like quality to it. There's like a rhythm, and when I talk now, it's like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Soy Wesley. Estoy un poco cansado, pero yo quiero comer contigo. See? It's like a roller coaster almost, and the way they talk. Spanish is just such a beautiful language, and I love the Colombian accent. It's just really good. Also, I love it when the women here speak English. There's something about the Colombian accent when they speak English that's very sexy. T-shirt, explain me. I know, you know, and it's really endearing, but when I hear it, it's just so attractive for some reason. I don't know how to explain it. Woo! So something I want to talk about is the transportation here. The transportation is like super good, and out of all Colombia, Medellin is the only place with a metro. There are bus and taxis everywhere too, and the prices aren't bad, to be honest. Like, if you want to take a taxi to another city, it would probably cost you around $2. And we came up here, the taxi was, I think, 12 mil, but then we split it amongst 4 people, so it's like less than $1 a person, so it's so worth it. The metro's only like 67 cents, so that's nice too. Something about the metro system is that it's really nice because the people here take care of it. It's like a shining beacon of Medellin. I think I heard somewhere that metro signifies the change between their notorious past and like their more advanced and calmer new, like what the rich culture that it is now. There's no trash on it, nobody eats on it, and it's like, it's really, really nice. And one of the coolest things that this place has is they have this public bike system, which I think is super cool. All around the city, they have these bike ports that, as long as you register for like an Encicla card, is that what it's called?
Ciclovia?
That one. There's a bunch of free bike stations that you can just take from one, and then you deposit in a station in another area, so you can get from one place to another. It's really awesome. You're doing great, honey. You're doing great. They say that Medellin is the most beautiful city here in Colombia, and from what I've seen, bro, I fucking love it. It's so crazy. Every single day I look out my window, I'm just so happy and amazed by how beautiful the city is. Every time I go to a new place, I see it, and then it's like, fuck, this is really cool. And then my friends introduce me to another place. It's like, fuck, this is the spot now too. Also, this place is super dog friendly. They have dogs everywhere, and I'm actually thinking about adopting one because of that. I've always had this dream to just like go to a park with my dog without a leash, and most of the dogs here don't have leashes. They're just really well trained. So I think I can learn from the culture in
when I teach my dog in the future. My friend explained to me why the views are so amazing. So my friend Lexi and I, we were sitting in my apartment and we were looking at the buildings and the light. She explained to me it's like, the reason why it's so amazing is because it's like stars, when instead of having to look up, you just look right in front of you. And I never thought about it that way, but I thought it was like, yo, that's so profound. Everywhere you go, there's a view from the city. If you're at the bottom, if you're at the top, they're all beautiful. It just looks like stars. It's such a crazy concept.
And thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you made it this far, you guys are the real MVP. I love you all. Thanks for listening to me gush about the city for like 15 minutes. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.